Let's talk about the steps to buying a home here in Sarasota. I mean, you want to buy a home and you don't want to look stupid. Nobody wants to look stupid. We always want to make smart decisions and get it right. And so doing a little research like you're doing now makes perfect sense. Absolutely. So let's go through the steps. It's a long form video. I'm going to go through everything I can on this video. And if you have any questions at the end, just give me a call. I'll leave my number for you. All right. So where do you begin? A lot of folks begin by going to an open house and they meet some agent that's sitting in the open house and they don't really vet them. And that's probably the wrong thing to do. So you need to vet the agent that you meet at the open house. This could be their first open house they've ever sat in, and they look good. They're in the open house. It seems like they're the right fit. But really, you need to check and see if they've got some experience. How many homes have they sold? Have they been in business for a couple of years? How many transactions have they closed, and how many buyers have they helped? Is this their first rodeo, or are they serious people that know what they're doing and they're not just getting out? Most agents get out of the business within 1 to 3 years, and you want to make sure you've got a seasoned agent that's been through all the negotiations, ups and downs of all different kinds. A good agent's probably selling at least a newer one, 12 or more homes a year. If they're selling 12 to 20 homes a year, they're a great agent, a great buyer's agent. So that's where I would look at. So once you do meet an agent and you've vetted them, you've gone on Google, you've checked them out, you've checked with AI to see, if there's any information you can glean about who they are and how many home sales they have or what teams they've been with or if they're bouncing around to different agencies or not. And you find out that they're pretty good. Okay, good. Then we got to move to the next step. If this agent that you met invites you to come into the office, have a consultation, you're on the right track. If they don't even want to bother having a consultation, they just want to go out and show homes with you, you're making a mistake. No doubt. You need to stop right there. You want an agent that's going to sit you down in their office, or at least at a coffee shop with the laptop, and first thing you're going to go over is a buyer brokerage agreement. That's an agreement that agents have to sign with buyers to disclosure and lets them know what their value is, how much it is to hire them to have them represent you and find a home. That's the way it is these days. So things have changed quite a lot in the last few years. So the first step, I'll just go back over it. You're going to find the agent, then you're going to vet the agent, then the agent's going to sit you down and you're going to have a consultation. And that consultation is going to save you thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours. Because what you're going to do in that consultation is, yes, of course, you're going to first agree to the buyer brokerage agreement. That sets the terms for how much, what percentage they're going to get paid once they find a home and close on it. It's going to also help you understand that they're going to be negotiating with the seller's side to try to get their percentage paid for, to get their payment commission at the end, and that's all negotiable. They're going to negotiate their commission rate with you because all commissions are negotiable with you as the buyer and also with the seller and the selling agent. So that's the first step. Sign the buyer's brokerage agreement. That's a no-brainer. Then you have a contract and a framework to work from. You have a working relationship, just like working with anybody. Having a contract first makes sense. After that, you should go into a consultation at that point where you're discussing what are your wants and needs. So you're going to want to go over what your wants are, what your needs are, what your must-haves are, and what your non-negotiables are. When I show homes to prospective buyers, oftentimes there's some homes I won't show them, and they wonder why I didn't show them. And I tell them up front, if you didn't tell me that there's something specific that you wanted, or there's something that you definitely don't want, I'm not going to show you that home. If that home is way out of your price range, I'm not going to show you that home because you gave me the budget. I might ask permission, is it okay to go in up to a higher level after we've searched for a while and we can't find any homes that are in their price range? But honestly, a good agent doesn't try to slip a home in and try to get you to buy it or see if you're tempted by something extremely expensive. They're going to ask for permission first, and don't get mad at them if they don't show you homes that you didn't ask for. So in the consultation, when you sit down, you're going to go over, as I said, your wants and needs. You're going to talk about how many bedrooms and how many baths you want. Do you want a pool? Why it's important to you? School districts, We're going to talk about, you might know some school districts that you're interested in, or we'll give you some websites where you can check out school districts, because we're not supposed to say what areas have great schools, and we're not supposed to tell you legally, we're not supposed to direct you into any of those things. We can't steer you into different directions of what neighborhood is a high crime, what neighborhood isn't. We don't talk about familial status, race, religion, or any of those things. So those things, don't expect your agent to talk about those, and don't put them in the position that they feel uncomfortable and have to, disclose, go down that path and say, no, I can't talk about those things. Just know that they can't. All right. What's important is trying to find the right home and finding the right neighborhood. So you need to do a little research, and they're going to give you some homes to look at too. So after you guys have discovered and what homes might be on the market, looking at the multiple listing service in the office, at that point, your agent's probably going to schedule some homes for us to see, for you to see. That's what I would do. So we'll go ahead and schedule the homes that you want to see, and then make an appointment. We have to make appointments and schedule them all with the other agents and with the other home sellers. So it's important to make sure we get it down, try to get it down to maybe 4 to 6 homes in a day. Try to eliminate all the other homes, because really, if you're looking at more than 4 to 6, you probably haven't done enough research and homework with your agent. There may not be that many homes out there. There may be too many homes out there. That's a problem right now, actually, with buyers, with sellers putting their homes on the market. There's a lot to choose from. So we really need to narrow it down. So that's the beginning steps. That's just where we get started. So to recap, you found the agent, you've signed the buyer brokerage agreement. Now you're consulting or going through and looking at what homes might fit your needs. And then you're getting, your agent's going to schedule a home tour. And you're going to look at 4 to 6 homes in that day. After 4 to 6, really after 6, most people get snowblind. They can't see past the last home. They can't remember the homes they didn't like, they do like. In fact, I tell agents that I work with, that I teach, and I also tell my clients, let's take that one sheet of that home you didn't like, let's just crumble it up and throw it out. Because if you didn't like it, we're not going to go back to it. We don't want you hemming and hawing over it, because we want to keep you clear on the homes that do fit your criteria. We want you to find the right home, the best home for you. And if that home wasn't right, we don't want to go circling back to it. Sometimes people get back, they start going in a circle, wanting to see the same homes, and we have to eliminate some. It's part of the process. All right, let's assume we found the right home, and we're going to negotiate the offer. So the next thing that's going to happen is that in Sarasota, in Florida, we have specific contracts that are pre-written, and we fill in the blanks. It's different than other states. Some states are similar to ours, but we have our own, they're Florida Realtor, Florida Bar Association written contracts, and they meet the specific needs of the buyer and seller. They're usually very fair, and there's certain things that we can fill out. We're not attorneys. Very few real estate agents are attorneys, and so we're not really supposed to go over legalese or explain every detail, but we can generally go over the contract with you. And then if you have more questions over that contract, you can hire an attorney. Typically, attorneys aren't involved until after the buyer's agent and the selling agent have worked out the contract. So I would go over the terms you're interested in having and putting into an offer to buy a home. And we would go over the contract, and then I would submit the contract to the listing agent of that property. They would have some time, maybe 24 hours, to get back to us and give us an either accept, counter, or they may just flat out reject. So, and without a counteroffer. That happens. When we've got a good offer, and an offer is not necessarily just money, sometimes it's terms. With the right terms on a contract and the right price, we should get your house. We should be able to negotiate a home. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 different houses. Sometimes we have to try different properties, but usually we get the house. So if you have a good agent, negotiations are really knowing what terms might be best to offer to a seller and trying to find the terms that are going to be best for you as well. It takes a little bit of skill and knowledge to know what the right things are. And sometimes as agents, we just have to ask the right questions of the selling agent. So, or having good relationships. If you've been in the business for a while in this area in Sarasota, you probably have good relationships with the other agents. So you can usually get some good information. They're not always supposed to tell all the information, but sometimes they talk. Okay. So assuming everything went well in the negotiations and we got you under contract, within the first 3 days, typically, of the purchase contract, you're going to be obligated to put in your earnest money deposit, or EMD. And that's going to go to the title company or the closing attorney's office that is handling the closing. At that point, there are timeframes within the contract, and they're spelled out, and your agent should go over everything in the contract with you and what the terms are and the timeframes are. But everything's based on calendar days. There is a specific section in the contract that tells you what that means. And in any case, your obligation is to put your earnest money deposit in within the first, typically 3 days. That's what's in the contract. And then you're going to have your home inspections. So if you negotiated out a home inspection, most of the time in the contract, the standard is 15 days. Now, you might want to get this done quicker, 7 to 10 days, which is typically what the seller wants, because the seller doesn't want to have their home off the market for more than a few days if this isn't going to go forward. So we're going to negotiate out a time period for you to get a home inspection. What does that mean? Home inspection is where you're going to have your home that you're purchasing professionally inspected by a home inspector. Doesn't mean they're going to go in and fix. They're not going to recommend anybody. They're just going to go in and make note of anything that's broken, anything from the doorbell to a broken truss in the attic. They should be going top to bottom through the home, checking the HVAC system, the electrical, the wiring, electrical wiring, outlets anyway. They can't go to where they can't see, but they're going to go after everything that they can see. Outlets, plumbing, appliances, all of those things. Then from that point, after we get the inspection back, it's going to be full of red marks and green marks, and some things are going to look really scary. They'll make the doorbell being broken look scary. I mean, everything can be scary. So you have to take that with a grain of salt, that you've got this inspection and you need to go over the different things. And what's important is to remember that you're buying a home. You don't want to lose a good home. So we don't want to get overly upset about some cosmetic issues, paint, or maybe there's a broken tile or something. Now, if it's a structural issue, you definitely want to get worked up about it. We want to get that checked further if we want to continue on, or maybe we cancel. And we go back to the drawing board and go back out looking for another home. It can happen. Typically what happens is we negotiate out something that needs to get fixed. So if it's an as-is with right to inspect contract, then really you're just supposed to accept the property or cancel it. What actually happens in real life, a lot of buyers end up asking for certain things to get fixed. If there's a roof damage or something like that, something that they know that the seller's not going to be able to just go on without disclosing, and they're not going to get the home sold. A lot of times the buyers will just say, hey, will you get this fixed, or will you give me certain discount for getting that fixed? And it's got to be reasonable. With the residential contract for sale and purchase, the standard, not the as-is, there's actually space in that contract where things are negotiated out in terms of a price to fix things, or at what point, percentage of things that they're willing to pay to get fixed, or things that they will get fixed. So depending on which contract is used, that usually, that residential contract for sale and purchase is typically the one that gets most people to the finish table, get them to the closing table. It helps both the buyer and seller reasonably get things repaired in a timely manner. All right, so we've got past the inspection period. During that time, everything else is being handled by your title company. They're handling the survey, they're handling checking the title to make sure that the property's got clean title, that there's no encumbrances. There's multiple things that they're going to be doing, checking for estoppel and so on. So that's their job. And at that point, it gets a little bit people get a little bit antsy because they've got to wait to get their, are we going to close or not? They're waiting for that clear to close. And if you have a mortgage during that time, your mortgage company is going to likely be checking the property. They're going to be doing all of their due diligence in terms of getting ready. And they're probably going to drive you crazy asking for the same documents over and over. I've seen it happen many times. It's happened to me when I was getting a refi on something. The mortgage companies just keep asking for the same documents over and over. It's a little bit annoying, but it happens. Now, you get through that. If you get clear to close from your mortgage company, you get clear to close from the title company. There's it's clean title. Title's issued. Then you're going to have a closing date. And typically in the Sarasota, Bradenton area, Bradenton, Venice, the closings are anywhere from 30 to 45 days. If it's a cash deal, usually 15 business days or 3 weeks. Most of the closing offices, the title companies, they prefer that. That gives them enough time to get all of their work done and still make sure that they can get everything closed on time. So it can be done quicker though. I mean, a closing can happen just in a couple of weeks. I've got one going on right now. At the time of filming this video, I've got one that's going to be closing, and it's only been just, less than 3 weeks. So it does happen. Cash sale. On the mortgage, homes that where a buyer's getting the mortgage, not necessarily so. They'll usually take 30 days. That's about average. So you get clear to close. What happens? So the day before closing, about 24 hours, the sellers should be cleared out. They should have the home clear and ready. Just basically room clean. They don't necessarily have to clean it out. It's a courtesy if they do. They have to have all their things out and have it at least swept out. That's the usual. But we're going to do a walkthrough the 24 hours before, roughly, and do a final walkthrough of the property to make sure everything's in the same condition as it was when you went under contract. And if there's a problem, we're going to deal with that at the closing table. We're going to talk to the attorneys and find a resolution for that to get something fixed. And that's it. Then closing day comes. And a lot of times now, it used to be in the old days where the buyer side and the seller side would sit down at the same table and everybody would sign documents. Today we find there's a lot of what we call mail away, where one party is out of the state and their documents are mailed out to them and they have to get them notarized. A notary is sent out to them that specializes in handling real estate documents, and then they're shipped back in time. That causes a little bit of stress because everything's got to happen at a certain time. It's got to happen quickly in order to make sure we close on time. If we're closing at the same day, so then you as the buyer, you're going to go into the real estate office, the title company and the attorney's office, and you're going to sit down and sign all the documents. They're going to go over them. Typically, folks don't go over one by one, but they can if they choose to. If you'd like to have everything explained, it'll make your closing quite a bit longer, but there's nothing wrong with finding out all the details. A lot of times they'll generalize what the documents mean. And if you're not signing the documents, you're probably not getting home. So that's how that goes. All right, so you go to the closing table. The sellers go to the closing table either before or after you. And then once everything's closed and the money exchange, so you should have your money wired into the closing office. And after that closing, after the money's wired in, and we've got clear to close from the lender, they've got the funds deposited, or if you've got funds that you're paying cash, either way, as long as those funds are good and they're with the title company's office in their escrow account, and we've got clear to close, then the funds are going to be wire transferred over to the seller, and you're going to get the keys to the house. That's it. It's pretty simple. There's a lot more nuance to it, and it can be very stressful. But if we approach it in a calm manner, it works out. If you need more information about this, I've got a team of buyers, agents that help. We've been helping buyers for years and years. Love to help you. My number is 941-960-8844. Love to help you out. And give me a call. My email is down below in the description. If you have any questions, just mark it. I'd love for you to, if you'd subscribe, that would be even better. Okay, hope that helped. And if you need more information, just keep watching my relocation, Sarasota relocation channel. Talk to you later. Bye.